Anyone who was brought up in Cold War America has certainly heard Karl Marx roundly demonized by politicians, news media, the educational system, and even the clergy. Very few, however, have the slightest clue what Marx actually stood for. Working-class people need a little education on this matter. One of the most important contributions made by Karl Marx and his associate, Friedrich Engels, is the law of value. Marx articulated his conception of value in a speech to the International Working Man's Association at a meeting in London in 1865, which was later published under the title Value, Price and Profit. Here we quote Marx directly. Suppose, for example, equal quantities of labor to be fixed in 1 quarter of wheat and 1 ounce of gold. I resort to the example because it was used by Benjamin Franklin in his first essay published in 1721. We suppose then that 1 quarter of wheat and 1 ounce of gold are equal values or equivalents because they are crystallizations of equal amounts of average labor. It might seem that if the value of a commodity is determined by the quantity of labor bestowed upon its production, the lazier a man or the clumsier a man, the more valuable his commodity, because the greater the time of labor required for finishing the commodity. This, however, would be a sad mistake. You will recollect that I used the word social labor, and many points are involved in this qualification of social. In saying that the value of a commodity is determined by the quantity of labor worked up or crystallized in it, we mean the quantity of labor necessary for its production in a given state of society, under certain social average conditions of production, with a given social average intensity and average skill of the labor employed. End of quote. This proposition, stating that the value of a commodity is directly proportional to the socially necessary labor time crystallized in it, is known as the Marxian law of value. From this law flows its corollary, surplus value, which explains how workers are exploited under the capitalist system. Surplus value is a quantity given by the value of a commodity minus the wages paid for its production. Important implications flow from these mathematical relationships. From these foundations, Marx explained in great and sometimes tedious detail the operation of the capitalist system of his day. This analysis, in large part, is still valid for modern capitalism. Marx pointed out that labor, in its unskilled, skilled and scientific manifestations, is responsible for all value added to those intrinsic values provided by nature. It logically follows then that the capitalist class is a parasitic class and provides nothing that the working class couldn't provide for itself, once sufficiently organized. Indeed, the capitalist class complicates, to the best of its ability, the project of the working class. Marx and Engels encourage working class people of all nations to unite and overthrow the capitalist class, put an end to exploitation, and create a classless society. Let's revive that project. Another important contribution that Marx and Engels made to human understanding was the materialist conception of history, which was eloquently described by Engels in his tract, Socialism from Utopia to Science. The materialist conception of history starts from the proposition that the production of the means to support human life and, next to production, the exchange of things produced, is the basis of all social structure. That in every society that has appeared in history, the manner in which wealth is distributed and society divided into classes or orders is dependent upon what is produced, how it is produced, and how the products are exchanged. From this point of view, the final causes of all social changes and political revolutions are to be sought, not in men's brains, not in men's better insights into eternal truth and justice, but in changes in the modes of production and exchange. The materialist conception of history allows us to understand the continuity in human history and grasp some of the long-term inevitabilities. It can guide us as we develop the strategies and tactics our present-day struggles require. Class struggle is the common thread that runs through Marx and Engels' interpretation of history and political economy. Marx and Engels famously wrote in the Communist Manifesto, "The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggle." They further asserted that the emancipation of the working classes must be conquered by the working classes themselves, that the struggle for the emancipation of the working classes means not a struggle for class privileges and monopolies, but for equal rights and duties and the abolition of all class rule. They describe the conduct of the capitalist class in this manner. The need of a constantly expanding market for its products chases the bourgeoisie over the whole surface of the globe. It must nestle everywhere, settle everywhere, establish connections everywhere. Through the lens of historical materialism, Marx and Engels describe the struggle between workers and capitalists as the culmination of the class struggles that have plagued humanity throughout the history of human civilization. Historical materialism also provides us with the orientation we need to confront the challenges of late-stage capitalism that have brought us face to face with several existential crises.